Okay, folks, welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And this is our bottom 5. That is to say, our numbers 10 through 6 of our top 10 solo games or games that have a solo mode in them. I'm the reason we have to include games that have a solo mode in them.
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't have 10 solo-only games.
Really?
No.
No.
Not even close.
I definitely don't.
I think I only have 2 solo-only games, maybe.
However, I was astonished by how many games I've actually played the solo mode for.
Nice. Yeah. There's a boatload of them. I have tons of them. I have for solo games, I have, 102.
102?
Current games that have solo modes.
Playing games solo is a new thing for me.
Sure.
Never really was savvy on it, but I've learned that it's a really good way to learn how to play a game.
Sure.
I tend to like solo modes that are more like the actual game if you were playing it as a multiplayer. My average weight, and this is probably where you're going to have like 6 out of 5 or something like that, but my average weight was a 2.48.
That's pretty good.
So it's a little higher than normal. My heaviest game was a 3.07.
Nice.
And my lightest one was a 1.9.
My average was a 3.22.
Gosh.
My lowest, I believe, is that one at 2.19. And my heaviest, a 4.38.
Wow. Yeah, I'm still a little baby when it comes to solo mode gaming.
That's the way it was.
But that I think we've already kind of explained our caveat here. Our caveat is simply solo only or solo mode. If you don't have a solo mode, you were not part of this list. If you have a solo mode or your solo only game, you were in the running.
Fair.
So let's go ahead and get to it. My number 10 is one of the heavier games on the list. And actually, it is the second heaviest game on the list. And it is a game by Stan Kordonski. And this is called Resurgence. Resurgence is a game where, first of all, it is a post-apocalyptic game. It takes place in Moscow. And one of the cool things about it is that it's like you are a group of survivors, and the survivors, what kind of survivors you send out determines where they can go on the map and what they can do in those areas, and that's one of the really cool things about it. Now, the solo mode for this game is really very, very, very similar to the multiplayer mode. You are not doing a lot of different things. You're just basically doing your thing, and I really enjoyed that. This is one of the games that I started this solo mode journey with, and I was very pleasantly surprised with it.
Nice.
Because I'm always leery about trying solo modes because I don't want it to differ that much from the actual multiplayer game. I wanted to give the same vibe. One of the main reasons that I have these 10 is because these 10 give a very similar feel to the rest of the board games. So whether or not I enjoy the solo mode is also determined by how much I enjoy the game.
My number 10 is a racing game. Kind of a light deck builder, not deck builder, hand management. I don't know what you want to call it, but it is called Heat Pedal to the Metal.
Pedal to the Metal.
And technically the solo mode, the legends that are added into the game, you can play with any player count just to fill up your cars, up to 6. But as a solo player,
you must.
You must. But yeah, it is. They do such a good job of helping you see the ebbs and flows, while you're still trying to win, and they're not cupcakes to beat. Like they're not cupcakes to beat. If you're not pushing yourself, if you're not testing yourself on corners, if you're not burning the heat as at the right times, you're probably not going to beat them. But the nice thing about this solo mode is it just comes with a card with the different colored helmets. and each of them has a little rule depending on where they are on the track. If they're past this legend helmet on the track or not, they go a certain amount. If they're right next to the corner, they go a certain amount. It's very quick. It's very easy. You just go just like you do in the normal game, whoever's in front, all the way to the person in the back, and you just make everybody move. So as a solo game, you can play this with the garages. You can play the whole championship mode. You can play any of it with the legends.
Yep.
And they simulate all of the awesome and dumb things that everybody else at the table would do anyways. So yeah, it's just a great solo mode.
It is.
And
it absolutely is.
And it's smooth and easy to implement. So
I will say this did not make my list. It very well could have. I looked at it many times. It just didn't make the cut, but it absolutely could have. It. One of the other things that I really like about solo mode is that there isn't a lot of accounting that you have to do for an AI player. That's one of the things that I want to see in a solo mode.
I tend to like solo modes that have interesting mechanics that aren't just... So I don't know, I guess it depends on the type of the game, because you say you like games that don't have a lot of upkeep maybe as a solo mode. I don't care about that at all, especially if the upkeep's really good or the solo mode is really good. So
well, I just don't want to I don't want it to feel like I have to, especially if it's a heavier game. I don't want to have to play two people just so that I can play my one.
Sure. Yeah.
If the AI is making me do a whole bunch of other stuff that I would be doing as a player, I'd rather that not happen.
I have some of those that I really like.
Yeah,
so it just depends. But yeah, I agree with you, especially on some of the ones that have little tiny nitpicky things all the time.
Heat is one of the ones, though. The whole reason I was saying that, Heat is one of the ones that doesn't make you do that.
Nope.
And that's why I was really looking at it. It just didn't make the cut.
Yep.
Well, my number 9 is a newer game that I have just come into contact with a while ago, but it's called Dutch Resistance, Orange Shall Overcome. This is a cooperative game where, and it's really the theme that reached out to me a lot, where you are members of the Dutch Resistance during World War II, trying to resist the occupation as much as possible, and those of your countrymen who are working with the occupation. And I really enjoyed the solo mode of this. I think I enjoyed the solo mode more than I did the actual multiplayer mode, because the multiplayer mode has so much downtime. In the single player mode, you're basically making all of the decisions. And you don't have to wait for other people, and you don't have to convince other people that what you want to do is the right thing to do.
Yeah, even in some of the heavier roles that I like to play solos for the same reason.
Yeah.
I can do my turn, I can do their turn, I can do my turn, and I just keep on cruising.
Yep,
so.
absolutely. But it has, I like the story mode of it. The way that they have their halt cards set up in Dutch Resistance is it provides a context for all of the different decisions that you're having to make. Generally speaking, you're just trying to collect the right number of resources to do a number of different things at different times throughout the course of the game. But in order to get to those different spaces, sometimes you have to go through these checkpoints that have soldiers at them. And when you do that, you have to draw a card, and then you have to make a decision based on the things, what kinds of guards that are there. There's a couple of other caveats that go into what decision you have to make, but you have to make decisions. And it's usually a circumstance, like you're running through town, and as you're running through town, a guard says, "Hey, stop, what are you running around for?" That kind of stuff. And so you have to say, are you going to lie to him, or are you going to tell him this? And I like that storytelling aspect of it.
So does it have, I haven't played this one, but so does it have, you have like multiple characters?
Yes.
Here it's a co-op, so do you play it solo with one character when you play solo, or do you play with the crew?
You have one person, and then you have a couple of different stacks of cards that are your ally decks, basically, that are going to help you do different things. But during the multiplayer mode, Another cool thing about the game is that the people that you're playing are actual real people from history.
Gotcha.
And the designers of the game actually talked to the descendants of those people and got their permission to use their names and likenesses in the game. It's a really cool thing. It's I'm a sucker for historical contexts like that. But this one's really fun, and I think I probably enjoy the solo mode better than the multiplayer experience. Not that I didn't enjoy the multiplayer experience. I just think it's faster.
Sure.
So that's my number 9. Dutch Resistance, Orange Shall Overcome.
Nice. My number 9, I don't want to say it's a placeholder because it's not a placeholder.
But
my number 9 is a Garfield game, Shem Phillips game called Raiders of Scythia. Truth is, I could have done a top 10 Garfield game solo games list, but I didn't. So this is the only Garfield game that made it in there. I've played a lot of the different solo modes. This one's probably my favorite, but just because it follows that Raiders of the North Sea deal. In Raiders of Scythia, just like in Raiders of the North Sea, you have several worker placement spots. You put a guy out there, you do something, you take a guy back and you do something. You're trying to attack Assyria and, I can't think of the other. There's like 4 different regions you're trying to attack, gaining their resources, things like that. The solo mode in this one in particular, the AI is just run by a deck, and their deck just basically goes down a little checklist. Are there quests in this location? If there's no quests in this location, do I have enough provisions to fight? If they don't have enough provisions to fight, then do this. If they have enough provisions, do they have enough horses to fight? If they don't have enough horses to fight, then do this. Or conquer a region. So it's very quick. You flip over one of their cards. You just go down, check what they have, what they don't have. Give them the stuff for their line, and then you're back to your turn.
Yeah.
And then they also have one of the worker placement spots that you can't go to during this turn, which restricts that almost as a third restriction, right? Because typically it's just 1 and 1, but it's just a smooth a smooth deal. Just like your last one, it makes the game go very faster because I turn it over, I do their thing. I hope they didn't take the quest I just wanted or block the spot I just wanted, but because they block the spots and do those kind of things, it gives you that turn angst continuously. Oh, he's got enough provisions. Where's he going to go?
Yeah.
So, and there's multiple levels of difficulty, so it works out really well. So
that's cool.
Raiders of Scythia is my number 9.
Never played it, but good pick.
Plus all the rest of the Garfield game solo modes.
So it is a placeholder.
Some of them aren't that good. Some of them have been updated. So most of them are really good.
My number 8 is a 2.76. This is a newer game, and it's really fun, period. But that same level of fun is carried throughout into the solo mode, and this is called Keltay.
This does have a good solo mode.
Super good solo mode.
I didn't think about this when I did play this one solo. This has a good solo mode.
Yeah, and again, it really kind of mirrors the multiplayer experience so well. Yep. And there's not a whole lot of accounting for that AI. There is an AI that's working against you, taking cards that you would probably take, or rather placing encampments where you were wanting to place them, because once they place an encampment in one of those forts, you can't go there anymore. So there's a lot of different ways that the AI just kind of gets in your way. You tally your points at the end of the game, and it tells you how well you did. But basically, that's all the AI does, and there's not a whole lot of accounting for it. And that's one of the reasons why I like it, because it really does feel like you're just playing the multiplayer game by yourself. And I really enjoy solo modes that feel like that, because it gives me the feeling of how a multiplayer game is supposed to go, which means that I can teach myself how to play the game, and then I can teach other people how to play it as well. So this is a really great,
good game. This was a huge surprise for me.
Yeah, it was. It was for me. I wasn't sure how I was going to enjoy it, because aesthetically speaking, it's colorful.
I like the cover,
but the cover is absolutely striking.
Yeah.
But the game components and stuff like that weren't very flashy. They weren't very aesthetically pleasing. It's just basically you've got a bunch of workers that are these discs. And there are 3 different kinds of discs, and there are discs all over the place. So it's not very aesthetically pleasing, but it's very colorful. It's got the Miko's artwork on it, which is great. And the board is not aesthetically pleasing, but it's very functional and it's flowing. So I'm probably making a mountain out of a molehill here, but I really enjoyed the game, and the solo mode is a great way to teach yourself how to play the game and give you an idea of what to expect in a multiplayer experience.
Nice. This is a game that I'm sure I'll be champion for quite a while. I really like that game. It's surprising.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yep. All right. My number 8 is an actual solo-only solo mode game. Oh. Look at that. And this one is called Under Falling Skies from Chex Game Edition. Under Falling Skies is the old Space Invaders, where you have a mothership at the top, and she has little raiders that are coming down 5 lines. The game's really cool, so you have like an underground base with basically a city sitting on top of it. So maybe you're Boston, and they're trying to ram into the city. And at the same time, you're trying to research. You have a little research track up the side. You're trying to research how to defeat the aliens. So it's kind of a race against time. In that you have to get the research up before they do a certain amount of damage to your city.
Got it.
Everything underneath that is little worker placement spots, little dice worker placement spots. And you only have so many of them open because you're in an underground bunker. You may only have 2 layers at first. And you have 5 dice, and you have to put 1 in every single lane in one of your worker placement spots. But the dice number is how far down that raider's going to come. So I might put this 6 in an energy spot because I need a bunch of energy, but I also know now that that raider's going to come down 6 spots, so I have to know where he's going to land on the board. If he's on a spot that I can attack him, if he's on a spot that moves the mothership further, if he's on a spot, then you may not want to put the 6 there. You may want to save one of those dice to go down so your digger can dig deeper and open up more worker placement spots for you, but that means he's not doing anything good for you.
Wow.
It's just all this cool stuff. Yeah, it's really fun.
That's
it's
cool.
a really, really cool game.
I think I borrowed this from you one time intending to play it, but I never got around to it.
Yeah, this is really good. Great solo player game.
All of these games mirror the multiplayer experience very well. And that's what Bonsai, my number 7, does. Bonsai is a game where you are creating and cultivating, if I can use that word, should use that word, that's the word the game uses, your own bonsai tree. And you're doing so with the use of helpers and from the deck, and you're going to be basically trying to get your bonsai tree to accomplish these goals. And there are 3 levels of goals, and then each goal has 3 levels, I guess you could say. Yeah. There's 3 different kinds of goals, and then there's 3 levels of each of those goals. The longer you wait, it's kind of a push your luck mechanism. Once you score one level of one of those goals, you can't score that kind of goal anymore.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
And so you can you can push forward. So if you reach this level, you can say, I'm either going to claim it or I'm not going to claim it. I'm going to try to get this one. And then once you reach that, you can say, well, I think I'm going to try to get the best one, the highest one. But anyway, the thing that I like about this for the solo mode is that you are basically just playing against a guy that's going to get in your way. But there are scenarios, I guess you could say.
Oh, nice.
Of each of the different things. So you set up the game to do this, and you have to score this many points in order to consider yourself winning, but you also have to get this many of the public objectives that are out there, and you also have to get this many of this or whatever.
Sure.
There's a lot of different objectives that you have to meet for each of those different scenarios, and I liked that aspect of it as well, because it's not just play, see how many points you get, and then consult the board. No, you have to get this many points. You also have to do this, and you also have to do that in order to consider yourself having to win. And all of that is very challenging, but it's not too challenging. I always feel like I can do it until I get to the end and I found out that I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I like this game a lot, and it's very picturesque. It's very looks very good on the table, and it also mirrors the feeling of the multiplayer game very well.
My number 7 is not going to be a crossover.
It's one of your 4s.
It is a 3.86 from Deep Print Games, Victor Kulicki and Alexander Pfister, and it's called Sky Mines. This is a re-implementation of Mombasa as far as the solo mode goes. In this game, you have a moon, or if you flip the board over, you have an asteroid, a bunch of asteroids that these 4 corporations are trying to control and use and mine. If you're on the moon side, the 4 corporations start with no presence on the moon. And your job, basically, is to both help them get presence on the moon, as well as basically gain shares in their company. Because if this guy has a bunch of presence on the moon, if the purple one does, and you have a bunch of shares, of course you're going to get a lot of points.
Right.
In the solo mode portion of it, he just has a deck of cards that flips over, that blocks spaces, that activates and runs some of these companies, gives them spots on the moon. It's not the easiest solo mode to run, but once you get used to it, it's pretty quick. Because you're just flipping a card and doing that action, just like as if you were doing the action.
Yeah.
But it definitely replicates a very good opponent as far as that goes. Now, you can think about, if he's pushing a specific company. That's the cool thing about this game in general. If I'm really pushing purple and getting them out there on the board and getting shares in them, there's nothing to stop you from going and getting shares in them as well.
Right.
So if he's doing the same thing, it's not he, it's Luna, whoever that is. The Luna's your opponent. But if they're doing the same thing, then you might want to invest in their companies a little bit. But they just do a good job of taking cards out of the card rows so that there's a continuous flow of cards for you to purchase. There's always this balancing act. They're getting stronger and growing just like you are. So. It's a really good solo mode.
Neat.
And quicker than playing with people with AP. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Again, I did not do the research and backtracking on how each of these solo modes work. I just know that I've played these solo mode, and I remember how much I enjoy them.
Sure.
And this one is called After Us. After Us is a game where you are basically taking... Your little cold nose is getting in my nose. Get my way. You're super. But After Us is a really cool game where you are basically trying to attract a diverse number of primates to be part of your crew, and humans are no longer in existence. That's why it's called After Us. The primates that you bring into your clan, they make up your deck. And so when you're going to use basically 4, possibly 5 cards to make up your tableau each round. And then the really cool mechanism about the game is that your cards will connect to each other in such a way where they will make frames. Each of the closed frames in your tableau will generate resources or generate points if you use these resources or something to that effect. And that's one of the cool mechanisms of the game. The gist of the game, though, is that it's just a race to get to 80 points first. And whoever gets to 80 points first triggers the end of the game. Then whoever has the most points is the winner. I really enjoy this game a lot. The AI was a cool thing because I can't remember the nuance, but it had something to do with the resources that the AI have. Whenever you generate resources, you take from them first. So it simulated this idea of because they got like a lump sum of resources at the beginning of every round, but the resources that you generate, you pull from them first to limit what they can do on their turn.
Yeah, or you're giving them a bunch of stuff.
Or you're giving them a bunch of stuff.
Cool.
I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. But After Us is a great game. Vincent Dutrait's artwork as well, so that just makes the game even better. But that is my number 6, the last one from me on this segment.
All right, that's cool. That's an interesting mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take it from them, they get it.
Yep,
So.
that is correct.
Nice. All right, my number 6, the last one on this list for this video, is a solo-only game, and I'm probably our only crossover in this top 10. If there is one crossover, this will be it. And this is a solo-only game from Van Ryder Games called Final Girl.
Really? This is only a 6 for you?
Yep.
You're a monster.
It's a good game. It's a great game. Every one of these are great games. Like, I could have done a top 50, and that would have been easy. But Final Girl is a great game. In Final Girl, you're taking a Final Girl, you're taking a map, and you're taking a bad guy. You're mixing them all together, and you're trying to defeat that bad guy. And you're doing that with this action selection cards that you have. And each of your cards is going to cost you a different amount to play. Off of that track for the turn before it's the enemy's turn again. So you're playing these cards, you're spending that exhaustion. It's not exhaustion. I can't think
Fear.
of the word. I'm sorry.
The thing is how scared you are.
No, there's a scared track too, but
Yeah.
there's a resource that you have, and I can't. It's either exhaustion or endurance or something like that. I don't know why I can't think of the name. But anyways, you're going to spend cards until you're out of that, until you hit the 0. Or you may save some of that so you can buy new action cards for the next round. And you're just rotating through these cards. You have so many in your hand, and any cards you use this round are going to be unavailable for you next round, even the 0-cost cards. So you could burn up a lot of actions this turn and find out that next turn you're not going to have very much whatsoever. But that's my number 6, Final Girl. Season 3 coming out soon. I'm excited.
Yep.
Very, very
Yep,
excited. So I can't wait to fight Pinhead.
That's a good one.
But anyways, that's my number 6.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Yep. All right. Well, that is our bottom 5. So you can go over to the Flipside right now and watch our top 5 solo or solo mode games. Leave us a comment here. Like, subscribe right here on the Dice Tower. We'll keep an eye on the comments over here, but go over to the flip side. Do the same thing over there. You'll enjoy it. I can almost guarantee it. We'll leave the light on for you.
It's commercial now. We'll see you later.
See you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.